Hi, welcome. So in the last video, we looked at the basic operations in Numpy. And in this video, we are going to continue to look at some of the mathematics operations you can do in Numpy, some of the statistics operations you can do in Numpy. So remember, Numpy is very interesting as it's also used under the hood in pandas and some of those other visualization packages. So let's just go straight to the computer and continue our exploration of Numpy. So here we are. So we are just going to do an import numpy. So if you are using maybe some other IDE, you can always ensure that you do a pip install numpy like we saw in the last video. Otherwise, we know that this is already installed here. So we are just going to do import numpy as np. Remember, you can call this any name. So np is just what most people are using, so we'll go with that. So let's just create a simple 1D array like we saw in the last video. We just need to call the np.array method, and then we open our brackets, we pass in our value, so 1 2 3 and 4, and then we just maybe run this. So let me just call the a, and let's just see how it looks like. So we see how that one looks like. So that looks okay. Then now let us go on and start looking at some mathematical operations that we can do. So we can, for example, do an a plus 2, for example, a plus 2 or 3, a plus 3. So you see it adds to every element plus 3. So 1 becomes 4, 2 becomes 5. So we can add every element just with a plus. We can also do an a minus 2 or a minus 3. Let's take back. So now it is recalling this a, and then it is taking out minus from there. So this is it's possible too. And then we can also do an a multiplied by 2, for example. So we get that it works. So we see that it has no problem doing those multiplications, divisions. So we get 2 here, 4, 6 as expected. As well as we could do an a divided by 2. So when we do that now, we get a 0 0.5, a 1, a 1.5, a 2. So it's just dividing all of this by 2. We can also raise to the power 2. For example, a, remember in Python, raise to the power is those double. We've seen that in earlier videos, so you can always go back and check. And you can even decide to take even something like sine, cosine. So we can just say maybe np.cos of a, for example. So there are lots of interesting things you can do with your NumPy in terms of mathematics. So now let us just look at some of the things you can do in terms of statistics. So it's also interesting to see what you can do with statistics with NumPy. So let's just create an array. So we are just going to say stats equals to np.array, and then we open our method. Then since we want a 2D array, we are going to have 2 of those boxes. We saw that in the last video. Remember, you can always go and check. And then we can also, that's the first row. And now we create a second row, 4, 5, and then maybe minus 6. So remember, your NumPy has numbers as elements, not the A, B, C, D, like you'll see with lists and the others. So let's go here now, and then we do np dot max, for example. So we could get the max of the stats, and then we see that the maximum is 5, for example. And then we could even decide to choose an axis. So if, for example, we say that we want this axis here to be 1, so in Python you can always choose the axis 1. You can get your axis 1 or 0. So we are trying to say what is the max here. So we get 2 and 5. So this is it here, 2 and 5 here. So we get it here, this one. So in terms of the column, because the axis is 1 here, it signifies the column. 0 signifies the row. We'll see more of that as we progress. So some of these things you'll just be learning as we are moving forward. So you can also get an np.sum. and then you get your stats. You call your axis equals to 1, so you get your 5 and 3 here. So you can also see that as we are going ahead. So this is your axis here. So we can also move on now, and then we see that you can initialize even different types of arrays. So this is another interesting thing to see about your numpy. So maybe initializing some interesting arrays, initializing different arrays. So I'm just getting that topic there, but more of it is just practicing and seeing how the things respond. Just try, you need to try. So we can get an array of zeros, so we can use an np.zeros, and then we say we want a 2 by 3, so we pass in a tuple inside, so we get a 2 by 3. So when we run this, we see we have all zeros, and it's a 2 by 3, 2 rows, 3 columns. So you can as well get an np.ones. So if you just want all ones, np.ones. So these are just some interesting things just to know about how you can do things in numpy. So we can say maybe, for example, 4, 2, and 2, for example 2, and then when we run it now, we get ones here. So you have it, your 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then your 2, 1, 2, and then you have your 2s here. So it is something you can use to create very interesting metrics, and then you're able to do your matrix multiplication, matrix division. So you can just say, for example, np.full. Another thing you can do with np.full, and then we pass in our tuple 2. Then we say 1000, for example, and then when we run it, just fills 1000 on a 2 by 2 matrix. You can also do something like identity matrix. So you can do np.identity, and then it gives you a 2 by 2 identity matrix. If you remember your matrices, you can even do np.identity 5. So let's do that and run it and see. So you get 5 by 5 identity matrix. Remember, your matrix identity has 1 or in the diagonal here. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is some of the things that you can do with your numpy. So you will see more of the things you'll be doing when you're doing pandas in subsequent videos. And numpy, you just understand how it works, and it's also under the hood in pandas. So I hope you have been able to learn how to do some mathematics operations in numpy, some stats, and also initializing some different types of arrays. So see you next video. Wish you good data luck.